You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey there, welcome to episode 211 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Well, hello gang, welcome back to the show. It's Sean, your host, and I have got a smorgasbord of information and treats for you today. But before we get into that, if you're listening to this episode on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you're not following me on YouTube, you definitely should be. All of our episodes are up there. Just look for my name,
Sean Vanderloo.
And then you can subscribe and find all the episodes. There's a bunch of old episodes of the Rusted Robot podcast on there, and even a few random videos that you might find of me being all awkward and stuff, trying to convey some information. So really, the YouTube channel is chock full of all kinds of gold. So maybe check that out. And before we get into the main part of the episode, I also wanted to take this moment and acknowledge all of the listeners in Kuwait who have kept us on the mental health charts. Every Monday, I get an email from something called Chartable Digest, and it basically gives me a summary of how the podcast is doing, any reviews I've received, where it's charting around the world, and the only place where we're in the top charts is actually in Kuwait. For the last month and a half, we've been hovering around 199, 200 in the mental health top charts. This Monday, turns out I'm at 229, so we lost 30 percentage points. I don't know what's going on, Kuwait people, but if you like the podcast, share it with all your friends. Keep us on the charts, keep us up high. Maybe leave a 5-star review in the, iTunes or podcatcher of your choice, whatever they're calling it. That would be awesome. Anything else that I have to tell you guys about? I think that's basically it. A lot of little things I wanted to discuss and talk about. I've written it down. I've got a list here. Let me see. So the first thing was the YouTube channel, which I don't ever really acknowledge, and then the Kuwait and Chartable Digest thing, the flood from last week. Yes, that prompted a very rare repeat episode. I don't like to do that. I always like to come out with fresh content each and every week, maybe take a couple weeks off around the Christmas season, but other than that, I like to be consistent and come out every Thursday. As I'm recording this, it is Wednesday, July 14th, and as we all know, July 14th is Con Air Day.
My daddy is coming home on July 14th. My birthday is July 14th. I'm gonna see my daddy for the first time ever on July 14th. Make a move and the bunny gets...
Whether it's a good movie or not, it's been pretty much my favorite movie ever since I saw it back in 1997. It doesn't get a lot of love, but every July 14th I try to watch it. I haven't watched it today, of course, because it was on TV about a month and a half ago when I saw it then, and I've probably seen it 36 times, so I'm good for a bit. It's like Die Hard at Christmas. Can't do that every year because it gets a little bit tiring and you have to relax for a little bit and give it some time in between. So anyway, back to the flood. Last week, last Monday, I guess it was, we had a huge rainstorm and we had a flood in the house and it wrecked the carpet here in the basement. So we had to take the carpet out, we had to take the baseboards off, we had to cut the first few inches of drywall off so we didn't get any rot. It wrecked a few of my collectible things, which I was not happy about. And basically, I didn't really have time to do much of anything other than record a 5-minute intro for a repeat episode from last week. So if you've listened to that, thank you. If you've already heard it 3.5, 4 years ago, well, maybe that was a fun, what would you call it? Well, it's a repeat episode, maybe a reminder. And for anybody who hasn't heard it, hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so that's all very good. What else do I want to talk about? The purple El Camino. How about that? What's a purple El Camino? Well, on the Facebook Marketplace here in Timmins, yesterday it popped up in my news feed that somebody was selling a 1977 El Camino that they had used for mud bogging. So this thing is purple and it's got big ass tires on it, and the guy is asking $5,000 for it. And I've got to tell you, it's quite tempting because purple is my favorite color and my dream car is an El Camino. So purple El Camino is everything that I want. However, throughout the course of my life, and especially with this podcast where I look internally and look deeply at my life, I've come to realize that I shouldn't have things like this because I am not mechanically inclined. I wouldn't know how to repair it. I don't know how to fix things. I had a 1974 Beetle for about 8 years, and I was always going to fix it up, and I never did. I never had the money. I never had the knowledge, and then I got rid of it. So that's that. So that never went anywhere. This El Camino would just turn into a disaster. I don't have anywhere to store it, and I wouldn't drive it in the winter because is it a classic? Well, it's 44 years old, so that's pretty good. So yeah, as much as I want something, I realize I shouldn't have things because if I'm not going to take care of it, it's just going to suffer from entropy, which is a basic breakdown of anything good to a less good state. I'm sure it's more scientifically accurate than that, but whatever. So anyway, no purple El Camino for Sean. Working away on the basement, I've been putting in flooring because of the flood. We got some new fancy flooring. It's called vinyl plank drop-in flooring. It doesn't require glue. It doesn't click into place. You just lay it down side to side, end to end, and staggering the joints. And basically, I've done half of the basement so far, which I'm very proud of because I haven't done much flooring. I've done a little bit, but not quite that much to be an expert. But I did the main part of the living room in the basement. And so basically what I have to do is clear out the spare bedroom so that I can continue on. But all the stuff is in the spare bedroom because that's where I am right now. It's my office. So it's going to be a lot of work. It's coming along, though, and that's the main thing. What else did I want to tell you guys before we head into the commercial break? I guess what we'll do is we'll go into the commercial break. A couple of words from the ESO network. We'll play the Vax promo right here. That should be winding down pretty soon because I think most people are getting their vaccines. Here you go.
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Hello everyone, Dr. Geek here with a shout out to all the scientists who worked tirelessly to bring a COVID-19 vaccine into reality. Let's face it, creating something of this magnitude is a miracle worthy of Dr. McCoy himself. And now, Dr. Geek needs you to do your part. Remember, each shot is one small step back to normal, one giant leap to putting the pandemic behind us. We can do this. For more information, visit vaccines.gov to find your nearest provider.
And that's a word from Dr. Geek and the rest of the ESO network encouraging you all to get your vaccinations so that this pandemic can be over. Because once this pandemic is over, that'll be amazing. We can do all the things. Theaters are finally going to be opening up again on the 16th. So just 2 days from now, or 1 day from when you're listening to this, if you listen to it on Thursday. And Black Widow. Boy, oh boy, I really want to see Black Widow. A lot of people have seen it already. I think Brother Robin gave it a 7.5 out of 10. It's been described as really great. It's been described as, that was okay. I haven't seen it. I was going to watch it on Disney Plus, but I was not going to pay $35 for premium access. I'll wait till the theaters open or in October when it releases to Disney for no charge, because $35 for a movie is very expensive, especially if you don't get it for more than a day or so, and there's no physical copy. And as everybody knows, I like my physical media instead of digital media, because I like to have a copy in my hand so that when the zombie apocalypse hits and the power grid is out and all I have is a DVD player, a TV, and a generator, I can still watch my movies. That's important. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll play a promo for another podcast right here on the ESO network. Hello there. I can see you have great taste in podcasts. Keep your discerning streak going with the Soul Forge podcast. No topic is off limits on the Soul Forge. We talk about life, toys, dating, geekiness, love, nerdiness, sex and dating, TV, movies, and just about anything you can think of. Check out the Soul Forge podcast. soulforgepodcast.com and wherever you find your podcasts. We're everywhere. And guess what I did? I played the newest promo for the Soul Forge podcast. What you're doing right now is listening to the Soul Forge podcast. But I was looking through the ESO Network Facebook group for the hosts of the ESO podcasts, and I've noticed that no other show has played my promo since June 12th. That's well over a month, and there's like 25 shows, so they would have had one a week or so. So that's at least 50 to 100 shows that could have played my promo. So guess what? I'm playing my own promo so you guys can hear what I've done and maybe let the people in the ESO network know that I'm not impressed that people aren't playing my promos, which I've mentioned several times. So there you go. That's a bit of passive aggression for you. And this episode's not about passive aggressiveness, although I guess it could be. I'm not going to do it. Okay, what else are we talking about? VHS tapes. Have I mentioned this before? I'm not sure. I told my buddy Frank in North Bay that I'll soon be opening up a store called Rusted Robot Toys, or Rusted Robot Toys and Antiques. I haven't really figured out the exact name. It's just going to be Rusted Robot something or other. And so he's been looking for things for me, and he came across about 2,000 VHS tapes that a guy was getting rid of. And it's a really good deal, so I couldn't turn it down. One of these days I have to get down to North Bay, which is about roughly 4 hours from here, and bring back as many as I can. And even if I sell them for $1 or $2, and it may take 10 or 15 years, but that's stock for the store, and that's all that matters, because I need stock. So when I found out about these VHS tapes, I started doing some research to see if they're even worth anything, and it turns out there are rare sci-fi and horror VHSs that are worth quite a bit of money, depending on what they are, because everything was released on VHS back in the day, but not everything has since migrated over to DVD or Blu-ray, and not everything is on streaming. So there are rare VHS movies that can sell for hundreds of dollars because people can't find them anywhere else. So I don't know if any of that stuff is in the pile of VHS tapes that I'll be getting, but it's a possibility. So should eventually make a handsome profit, or it'll just be a waste of time and energy, and nobody's going to buy some old VHS tapes because nobody has VCR anymore. But we'll see. We don't know. I'm not sure. What else did I want to talk about? Well, talking about the store, should talk about Etsy. I've had Etsy for maybe 2.5 weeks, and I've made 9 sales. I made 8 sales in the first 8 days, and then nothing for about a week, and then I made a sale yesterday. So I think it's 2.5 weeks. I'm not really sure. I didn't write down the day I started the thing, but that's okay. Yeah, it's probably been 2-ish weeks.
Excuse me? 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah, so that's that. Do you guys want to know anything else about Etsy? I'm not sure. But I did actually receive an email not too long ago from one of our loyal listeners. You all know Bill. And let me just pull that up here. Actually, I get feedback from 2 Bills. There's a Bill N and a Bill L, and this is from Bill L. And I guess he was listening to my other show, the Cosmic Pizza Podcast. We just had our 1-year anniversary over there, so Bill sent some feedback, and he basically says a bunch of stuff, how he enjoys Cosmic Pizza, and then he says, that referring to the building that I'm buying for the business, he says, that 3-unit building for sale sounds like a sweet deal, but now I have to wonder, Why would anyone sell it? If the previous owner died, and not from business stress, or retired and needed money for their new home in Florida, that would be good. Why are they selling the building, he basically wants to know. And from what I've gathered is the current owners of the business also own the home improvement center across the street. And they eventually want to move their location to a bigger area in town, in a different area. So I guess they're selling their assets and concentrating on the one building that's bigger in a different area of town. So that's what I'm going to assume, not because there's any bad things about it. It says it's solid that the garage across the street is renting one space. Does the apartment have a current renter? If not, why not? You haven't told us about the history of the building. So yes, the home improvement center that owns the building will be renting the garage once it's in my possession, so that's good. The apartment is actually going to be rented by my stepdaughter, and the retail space is currently rented by a body piercing shop, and she is under lease until at least next March, and she's either going to finish her lease and leave to a new area, or she'll stay, and I'm going to let her stay because that'll be rent money towards the mortgage. But when she does go, then I'm going to put my business in there, and I've already got the stock, so I'm ready to go. And until that time, I'll just be selling on Etsy, going to conventions, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. The history of the building. From what I understand, it was built in 1934. The retail space looks like it was added recently, like within the last, 20 or 30 years. So that's not original to the building. That's concrete blocks. I don't know. It's a building downtown. It's going to be mine on July 30th when I get the keys. And hopefully it all works out. It's a little bit stressful. It's a little bit scary because I've never ran a business. I've never owned property like this before. I've never rented it to people. So this is all very exciting. It's scary. It makes me nervous. Luckily, other brother is an accountant, and he's been guiding me on certain aspects of the law and deductions and write-offs and all kinds of fun stuff like that. And other than that, that's all I know. It's just been a nightmare trying to get insurance quotes because a lot of companies don't insure commercial buildings, or because it's a mix of residential and commercial, they're hesitant to insure it. So I did find a place, and it looks like we'll be okay. So there's that. What else is on my list? So I talked about Black Widow. I didn't talk about the Tomorrow War. I just mentioned it briefly the other day. And what it is it's a Amazon Video original movie. The weekend it came out, I think they said it had 2.4 million viewers, or households anyway, so that's a good amount. I loved it. And they're talking about a sequel. It's got Chris Pratt. No, not Crispy Fried Rat. Chris Pratt. Christopher Pratt, we'll say. And who else has it got? J.K. Simmons, and it's got Yvonne Strahovski from Chuck. And Chris Pratt's wife in the film, I thought it was actually Katherine Heigl, from Roswell and Grey's Anatomy and all those romantic comedies. I thought it was Katherine Heigl, and I was like, geez, she's really let herself go. But it wasn't Katherine Heigl at all. It was Betty Gilpin, who played Liberty Bell on the Netflix series Glow with Marc Maron. Betty Gilpin and Katherine Heigl seem like the same person to me. They have very similar voices, even though they look slightly different. But anyway, that's beside the point. I thought the movie was fantastic, one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. And according to all the comments on Facebook and everywhere else, most people think that way too, but not everybody does. There's people, there's plot holes and there's stuff that doesn't make sense, and there probably is, but it was so much fun. I can't recommend it enough. It's futuristic. It's got time travel. It's got aliens. It's got everything I like. There's explosions. You name it. There's probably even an impaling scene. And if there's one thing I love in my movies, it's an impaling scene. So anyway, go see The Tomorrow War. If you've seen Black Widow and would like to let our listeners know what you think of it, then just email us here at the show, soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. I guess I'm going to wind up the show now because I have to edit it and get it out there, but that's about it. So happy Con Air Day. Hope you watched it. Purple El Camino I'm not buying. I'm taking care of the flood. I'm appreciative of the listeners in Kuwait. If you're not on YouTube, or if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, definitely do. It's under my name,
Sean Vanderloo.
And other than that, go to rustedrobottoys.etsy.com to check out my store there and maybe buy 10 or 12 things to support me. And if you... Oh, that's what happened. Did I talk about the Kickstarter? It failed. I think I talked about this. Did I talk about it on last episode? I can't remember because it's been a blur here because of the flood. But anyway, I didn't get any money from the Kickstarter. But if you do want to support me, just go to the Coffee account. The link is on the website, soulforgepodcast.com or ko-fi.com/rustedsoul. If you'd like to leave a $3 donation or more, that would be highly appreciated. Definitely need all the money I can get right now because of this store that I'm opening. That's a very scary thought. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for leaving a review. Thanks for everything. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, share the show with everybody. And until next time, remember, once you've ruined your reputation, you can live quite freely. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soul Forge Podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soul Forge Podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.